Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to kindly take your seats as the guests of honor will be entering the ballroom shortly. Announcing the arrival of Yang Berhormat Datuk Sri Mustafa Mohamad, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Economy, accompanied by Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Sri Dr. Jeffrey Chia, founder and chairman of the Sunway Group, and Tan Sri Datuk Sri Razman M. Hashim, deputy chairman of the Sunway Group. Yang Berhormat Datuk Sri Mustafa Muhammad, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Economy. Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Sri Dr. Jeffrey Chia, founder and chairman of the Sunway Group and chair of the Malaysia chapter of the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network. Tan Sri Datuk Sri Razman M. Hashim, deputy chairman of the Sunway Group. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon and Salam Ramadan. My name is Karen Chand, and on behalf of SDSN Malaysia and the Sunway Group, I welcome you all to the inaugural National Solutions Forum. All those of you who are present, here in the ballroom of the Sunway Resort Hotel, as well as the thousands who are tuning in remotely to the forum's live stream. Could I ask you to please turn your attention to the screens for a moment for the forum etiquette. Ladies and gentlemen, the National Solutions Forum, or NSF, is the Malaysian iteration of the Global Solutions Forum that has now seen 3 annual events. The inaugural Global Solutions Forum, or GSF, was held in New York in September 2019 in conjunction with the UN General Assembly. SDSN Malaysia was one of the 10 global SDSN networks that was selected to present a solution at the GSF on sustainable cities, the Sunway City model. Today at the NSF, we will hear 9 Malaysian solutions shortlisted from 39 submissions that we received that innovatively address sustainable development challenges. Out of the 9 solutions, our very esteemed panel of judges will select the best one today. Allow me to introduce this diverse and very distinguished panel of judges. Tan Sri Wahid Omar, the chairman of Bursa Malaysia. Datuk Dr. Zunika Muhammad, Deputy Director General for Policy of the Economic Planning Unit. Dr. Nagulendran, Deputy Secretary General for Planning and Culture of Science of the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. And Puan Rafiza Ghazali, the Chief Executive Officer of Cradle Fund. It is now my pleasure to invite a man who has been a constant source of support and encouragement to the Sustainable Development Solutions Network Malaysia chapter, and a committed leader to advance the Sustainable Development Goals in Malaysia. He is none other than Yang Berhormat Datuk Sri Mustafa Muhammad. Let us put our hands together to welcome Datuk Sri to deliver the opening address.
Thank you, Karen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, selamat petang. Salam keluarga Malaysia. Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Seri Dr. Jeffrey Chia, Founding Chair of the Sunway Group, Tan Sri Razman, Deputy Chairman of the Group, Tan Sri Wahid, Chairman of Bursa Malaysia, Datuk Zunika, Deputy DG of the EPU, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I was here at the beginning of Ramadan to break fast in this beautiful hall, and now we are at the end of Ramadan. I'm here once again. So thank you very much, Tan Sri, for hosting all of us. Unfortunately, I can't join you in the breaking fast. I have to leave in a few minutes. Anyway, saya ucapkan setinggi terima kasih kepada Tan Sri Jeffrey Chia kerana menjemput saya untuk merasmikan majlis pada petang ini. Kita tahu betapa tingginya Tan Sri Jeffrey Chia dan pasukannya di Sunway untuk mempromosikan agenda kelestarian ini. Dan untuk itu saya bagi pihak Kerajaan Malaysia merakamkan setinggi penghargaan kepada beliau, seorang tokoh yang tak jemu-jemu mempromosikan agenda ini. Saya juga ucapkan terima kasih, tahniah kepada distinguished panel of judges yang ada bersama kita pada petang ini, Tan Sri Wahid, Datuk Dr. Zunika, Dr. Nagu dan Puan Rafiza, dan semualah yang berada dalam dewan ini. Semua ini saya anggap sebagai hero-hero, champion-champion sustainable development, heroes of SDGs, and we are proud of all of you. Distinguished guests, let me begin by conveying my gratitude to the Malaysian chapter of the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network for inviting me to officiate the inaugural National Solutions Forum 2022. As we all know, Malaysia, alongside with UN member states, adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in September 2015. The SDGs provide a shared roadmap for peace and prosperity for people and the planet. It is a call for action. SDGs recognize that sustainable development entails multi-pronged strategies that simultaneously address poverty, health and education, economic development, the climate, and preserving our ecosystems. Malaysia is committed to ensuring that public policies would always consider the importance of protecting our nation's rich biodiversity while pursuing the socio-economic well-being of present and future generations. Tuan-tuan sekalian, COVID-19, of course, had adversely affected all of us. The health and economic crisis exacerbated existing social and economic inequalities. Although the country's health security preparedness was reflected in the successful management of the pandemic, the ongoing fight against this virus is far from over. Although we are entering, hopefully, the endemic stage, and as we all know, we have announced a list of SOPs which indicate the way forward is getting a lot better for many of us. Ladies and gentlemen, SDGs are well entrenched in Malaysia's long-term development plans. Localizing SDGs is important in ensuring that we achieve these long-term goals. In implementing policies that can advance the achievement of SDGs, greater coordination is essential. The government, the private sector, civil society, as well as local change makers such as NGOs and social enterprises must work together to address local issues. I welcome and appreciate the efforts made by the National Solutions Forum in providing this platform for change makers to showcase how they implement local initiatives to advance the country's SDGs. The 9 selected finalists have creatively proposed novel strategies to accelerate progress towards sustainable development by having a firm understanding of local issues, from environmental education, agriculture, poverty alleviation, to the gamification of reusable bags, digitalization, artificial intelligence, biotech, and the blockchain. I hope this platform will motivate more people from different walks of life to come up with solution-driven initiatives that are beneficial to all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, in our pursuit to further grow the national economy, we must not neglect our responsibility to the environment. The NSF vision for a sustainable Malaysia perfectly aligns with the 12th Malaysia Plan, which seeks to ensure planetary health and a better quality of life, enhance the resilience of the nation, as well as conserve and protect the environment for current and future generations. Together, our strategies and policies will deliver a more sustainable and competitive economy, as well as create new opportunities for economic growth. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I would like to congratulate Sunway and its founder, Tan Sri Chia, for his strong commitment to localize SDGs and showcase exemplary case studies that can inspire more change makers to follow suit. I am pleased to note that the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network Malaysia and the Jeffrey Sachs Center at Sunway University have collaborated closely with government agencies, the private sector, and civil society to advance the UN's SDGs. Ladies and gentlemen, EPU is a focal point for SDG activities in Malaysia. We have been reporting to the UN. The second one was done last year. We have done well overall, but I said a few moments ago, COVID-19 has perhaps put the clock backwards. We're committed, as the economy is firmly on the path of recovery, we're committed to do more this year. And in the pipeline, we have plans to hold a national seminar, a roundtable. These are some of the events that we propose to host in the next few months. And in doing all this, we hope to be able to partner with the Sunway Group, Sunway University, and other interested parties. This is a joint effort. We are all in this together as a team. We hope to be able to get solid support from members of the private sector, from universities, from CXOs and others. This is an important agenda. It is an agenda that we all committed to achieve. By 2030, we hope to be able to achieve all the goals, all the 17 SDGs. So ladies and gentlemen, let me once again thank Sunway University for taking the lead in promoting this very important global agenda and also, of course, a very important national agenda. I would like to congratulate all of you who come from every part of Malaysia to be part of this very important platform, and hopefully this will motivate more people to come forward and come up with solutions to bring about more prosperity and sustainability in our country. Saya tahu bahawa daripada 9 ini ada datang terjeli dari Kelantan, ya. Saya tidak ada apa-apa bias, saya datang sini tanpa mengetahui bahawa ada daripada jeli dicalonkan, ya. Jadi jangan pula panel judges akan terpengaruh dengan kehadiran saya pada petang ini. Tan Sri Wahid geleng kepala. Okey. Jadi saya ucapkan tahniah daripada 39, seperti kata Karen tadi, 9 telah dipilih dan kesemuanya ini saya baca profilnya merupakan solusi yang baik, ya, dan satu akan dipilih yang terbaik dan insya-Allah akan menjadi ikon bagi kita semua. Ini yang pertama. This is the first ever NSF hosted by Sunway. There's more going forward, of course. Dan dengan adanya program yang pertama ini, saya yakin bahawa banyak lagi akan diadakan dan pada tahun hadapan dan tahun selepasnya lebih banyak penyertaan, dan dengan itu akan menjadikan SDG sebagai satu agenda yang difahami oleh seluruh masyarakat. Bukan saja difahami, tapi disokong oleh semua rakyat Malaysia. This is a very noble agenda, an agenda that every Malaysian will have to come on board, and I'm sure that with this program, there will be more support towards all the activities that the government and the private sector have been organising in promoting SDGs in Malaysia. Dengan itu, dengan itu sekali lagi saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Sunway Group kerana menaja atau sponsor this NSF, as well as for the grant. I understand 10,000 ringgit being given to each of the 9 deserving solution initiatives. Saya ucapkan terima kasih dan saya mengucapkan selamat maju jaya dan I wish you all the best. Sekian, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Yang Berhormat Datuk Sri, for that inspirational opening. And we welcome wholeheartedly your call for multi-sectoral collaboration. The VIPs will be leaving the ballroom now. I would like to invite members of the media to proceed to Arena 4 for a press conference. Ladies and gentlemen, a short press conference will take place now, but the event will resume very shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to the section we have all been waiting for, the presentations by our finalists. Our judges are in position. We have in this room as well a significant number of investors and venture capitalists, as well as other stakeholder organizations that have come here today to listen to these presentations and connect with the presenters to explore future scale-up possibilities. So without further ado, first up, please welcome Chan Wei Sheng and Kristin Lau from Connect Ed.
How many of you here just hopped off a virtual call in the past 24 hours? In fact, how many of you are virtually tuning in right now? The reality is that we are increasingly dependent on our digital tools and devices. I know we use it for all sorts of purposes, for work, leisure, education, or maybe you're joining in the presentation on the live streaming platform at the moment. But the truth is, not everyone has the capacity to own their own digital device. Let me start by sharing with you Azhar. Azhar is a Form 4 student in Malaysia. He's hardworking, he's dedicated, he cares very much for his education. But when the pandemic hit, Azhar was welcomed with a sudden surprise of switching to online learning basis. And the problem here is that Azhar is from the underprivileged B40 community, and they face many financial challenges. With these financial blockers, Azhar was unable to afford a suitable digital device. In fact, Azhar is not alone. Over 37% of Malaysian students do not own any digital device. On top of that, over 21,000 students dropped out from school during the pandemic, potentially attributed to unmet digitalization needs, for instance, not owning a suitable digital device. And that's why Connect Ed is here today. We are a team of passionate individuals aiming to bridge the digital divide amongst the B40 students in Malaysia. And we do so through our flagship program, Project DD, which stands for Driving Equality in Digital Education. And what we do is we donate laptops, desktops, and tablets to B40 students to support their online learning and digital upskilling. Thus far, we have partnered with over 13 schools. As you can see on the left-hand side of the slide, these are some school partners that we have worked with. And from the schools that we partnered with, we will then need to select student beneficiaries that will receive our donated devices. And we do so through a two-stage screening process. The first, students will need to fill out the application form that indicates their household income, and they'll have to answer several behavioral questions to assess their motivation and commitment to their studies. The second stage is where we engage with teachers to further validate and verify these student beneficiaries because they are the closest to their students and they understand their needs the best. Now, this slide is a simple flow chart that shows you how Connect Ed drives our impact. So as we start from the left-hand side of the slide, fundraising and second-hand device collection initiatives are the activities that kickstart our impact. From the collected devices that we have received from publics, from corporates, we will then need to make a decision. We would need to assess whether these devices are in good condition or poor condition. So if devices are in good condition, we will channel them to our refurbishing partners, which will then fix, repair, refurbish them, and make them usable again for educational purposes. These devices are then donated to our beneficiaries for them to attend online classes and also join us in our digital upskilling workshops that we organize. On the flip side, if devices are in poor condition, we will then channel them to our e-waste partner that will recycle them, e-recycle specifically, and also ethically dispose of them. All in all, this whole journey drives our impact and our key results.
Now let's dive deeper into our fundraising and device collections, where these two initiatives can be broken down into 4 main channels. Our first channel is our general fundraising campaigns, where we run multiple initiatives to meet our yearly fundraising targets. Our second channel is our peer-to-peer programs, where we rally public volunteers to run their own campaigns to help us fundraise as well as collect second-hand devices. And our third channel is our CSR partnerships, where we have worked with these different corporations in order to help fund us and also to engage with us on CSR projects. And we also realize that corporates generally has large capacity to provide funding as well as to donate their second-hand work office devices. And so for our last channel, we also apply for grants actively. These are some of the entities that has provided us grant support, and most recently is from NSF. And so here's an overview of our results and our impact. As you can see, we have fundraised a total of 31,000 ringgit so far, and also collected 118 devices, which was donated by corporates as well as public donors. These acted as stepping stones for us to drive impact in 2 key SDG areas. For SDG 4, we have managed to impact 113 students by providing them with our refurbished devices for their online learning. At the same time, we have also digitally upskilled 30 students where we provided them with free virtual workshops, teaching them skills in Excel, PowerPoint, and also graphic design using Canva. As for SDG 12, based on our refurbishment and also e-recycling efforts, it has helped us rescue 186 kg worth of devices from turning into e-waste and also damaging our environment. And at the same time, we managed to prevent 32 tons of carbon emissions from polluting our air. And so here are just some snapshots of our past device donation handovers, and you can see that we have worked with our multiple corporates for laptop distribution events as well. And so, besides the numbers, we have also collected feedback from our students, where we hear from them that they generally have a way better learning experience. They can study online a lot better now as well, and just having a more conducive learning environment at home. And this testimonials, it really acts as tangible proof of our impact, and it really drives our team forward to continue doing what we do. And so, to scale our impact, we are seeking for support in 2 key upcoming initiatives. Our first initiative is a laptop rental service called Rent Digital, targeted at the middle class. And we see this as an opportunity for us to diversify our income streams as well as enhance financial sustainability within our organization. So we want to fund our operational costs such as logistics and marketing. On the flip side, we're also looking to get ourselves officially registered as a MPO, as we see this as opportunity for us to increase receptivity from corporates, so engaging on more CSR projects, as well as external partnerships. And across the 2 initiatives, we are seeking for your mentorship and guidance to help us successfully execute them. And all in all, everything that we do here comes back to the core of our operations, where we just want to provide devices to our B40 student community. And so that wraps up our presentation for today. I'm Christine.
I'm Wisheng.
And we hope that we have inspired you to join us in bridging the digital divide together. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen and Wei Xing. To the esteemed panel of judges, you can now pose your question to the presenters.
If I may. Christian Wishen, well done for this presentation, interesting. If I may ask, if there are no constraints, what would be your ultimate intention to penetrate the underprivileged community? Thank you.
Constraints, so no financial constraints.
Also, if there are no financial constraints, what would be the impact? You want to take the question?
Yep, so I can take it, yeah. In terms of, let's say we have no constraints at all, we have all the money in the world to do everything that we want to do. Ultimately, what we want to achieve is really to bridge the digital gap that's happening in Malaysia. A lot of our students, like Wei Sheng mentioned, 37 of them actually don't have a device. So we want to curb that and eventually also to get them digitally upskilled. So previously, we briefly mentioned about how we have digital upskilling workshops. That is where we want to get to in the future, because these are students that really need our support, and eventually they'll enter the workforce as well. They are our leaders of the future. And right now we are living in a digital era, so it's really important for us to emphasize on that. That's why providing devices is the first step. Providing the workshops to upskill them is the second step, so that they know how to use the devices, and then eventually is for them to enter the workforce successfully and to have a same level ground as the rest of us.
I think if I may just add on, if there is a world without any financial constraints, another key challenge that we are facing in parallel just to provide devices is also internet connectivity. So that's something that we've been exploring actively internally, but it is quite difficult to find a long-term solution, right, to provide internet connectivity for a certain period of time. Some solutions that we have thought of is engaging with CSR partners to sponsor probably internet connectivity for 6 months. But that is a sort of a very one-off solution, right? And that being said, if there was no financial constraints, I think internet connectivity, or rather good internet connectivity, is sort of something that you need to see in parallel with the provision of devices. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, please welcome Rukith Anak Jampong, or fondly known as Uncle Keith, from the Sarawak Dayak Iban Association.
Do you know that in the beautiful city of Kuching, there are people who live among the dead? Why? It's because they built their houses on the land dedicated for burial ground. So, distinguished guests, today I'm going to highlight a project focused on this community at Chawan. The residents are the poor migrant, rural to urban migrant from rural Sarawak, mostly from the 2nd Division of Sarawak. This is where they live. Now, like many other migrants from rural to urban to cities, they come to the city to look for job because there are no job in the longhouse, in their kampong, and it is poverty that moved them to look for job in the city. Yeah? In Chawan, we have 54 households with 242 people living in dilapidated, living in cramped and unsafe houses. They've been there for an average years of 30 per family. Adult men work as laborers, drivers, and women, they work as cleaners and shop assistants. They are poor people. Yeah? This is For the last 30 years they've been there, this is already multi-generational poverty. The children and their children may not be able to get out and never escape from poverty. The availability of a collective space on site would address the problem perfectly. And the global goal addressed by the project includes 1, no poverty, 4, 5, 8, 10, and so on and so forth. Yeah? As Sadia, we say that human rights and culture are important for sustainable development. Therefore, we see Kampong Chawan as our partner to guide us to solve their poverty problem. We thank the support from APPGM, local YB, UNIMAS, and one of our first joint projects was a community empowerment project aimed at empowering the resident group to take charge of their own affairs through participatory process. Now, despite 30 years in Kuching, the Longhouse culture of encouraging the youth and young women to be active and self-reliant is still very strong in the community. Because of this, we have the Chawan champion who lead most of the activities in that slum area. We believe the community has the right to participate in their own development, and our cultures has provided us with the advantages we need. What we just need is to find means to help them access the resources to be self-sustainable. From this community organizing process, the residents of Kampong Chawan, led by their own champion, were able to undertake their own need assessment through community consultation and planning. Now, I must share an experience from the empowerment program we had with the community. COVID and the lockdown in 2020 had many negative impacts on this community. As daily paid, low-income workers, they were in desperate situation. It would have been easy for them just to give up working with us. Yeah? But the champion persevered and even found time and way to communicate with us, despite their lack of facilities and resources. And the outcome of their zealous work were the ability to undertake survey to identify the needs and issues of Kampong Chawan. Community of experts, political leaders, and NGO came to give a lending hand. But most importantly, they are able to identify and prioritize the issues they wanted to address and co-design solutions. However, we have realized that because they need to work during the day, they have limited time for such activities. But we cannot afford to lose the momentum that had been started, so we and they have identified a priority to build a collective space that we call Ruai Chawan. What they propose is a collective space on site where livelihood skill can be learned, public health activities can take place, and more importantly, let me repeat, more importantly, the 27 secondary school students, 26 primary school students, and 7 preschool students of that slum community can have a place to do their tuition. That's why we need this space. Yeah? They knew very well that the only key to unlock their poverty is through education. Now, on the left, you see houses in Chawan. and on the right is my longhouse. It is a physical space where community gathers to do the joint work and eat common meal. But it is more than that. It is a social space that is important for the integrity of the longhouse and for the sense of solidarity and identity. Without a ruai, there is no longhouse. The quote you see here is from the UN Secretary. At the highest international level, it is recognized that indigenous people, our voices, our knowledge, and our cultures are important for achieving SDGs. And at a local level, this means recognizing that even poor communities have answers. Yeah? And if we want to reduce poverty, then we must listen to them talk about the answers. Chawan champions were able to rise because in a longhouse community, we give everybody a chance. Therefore, in order to support further development, we also need to strengthen and not forget our cultural heritage. Now, the bigger lesson for upscaling is understanding the local situation is important. Letting local actors like us and the Chawan community to lead is also important. Yeah? And finally, supporting the link between cultures and development is important. My final takeaway is for the need to understand and focusing on empowering the community so that when there are physical space made available to they take ownership and are better prepared for their own future development. Thank you very much for the time and your attention. God bless.
Thank you, Uncle Keith. To the panel of judges, you can now pose your question to Uncle Keith.
Thank you, Uncle Keith, for your well presentation just now. One question from me is in terms of you have been stressing on the role of community participation and empowerment of community. And one of the elements that I'm missing, maybe it's just me or others as well, is leadership. How do you culture or how do you develop leadership among the community to ensure that it will be a sustainable efforts at the end of the day? Thank you.
Thank you. We have Chawan Champion where there are volunteers. Fortunately, more ladies, only one man, because men are out in the field working. So the ladies, they do part-time work, and they, in every activity that they are doing, the ladies are being entrusted to lead. So to lead meaning whatever other support by the men, community, or any individual, this lady will monitor and make sure that everybody else participates. She becomes the leader in there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was the Sarawak Dayak Iban Association. Please give them a round of applause. Next, we have Cray Chong from Powered by Rise.
Oh, yeah.
James is here.
Yeah.
Hello? Hello? Yeah.
Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you for Sunway Group and National Solution Forum for giving me a chance to be here today. As for a moment like this, some people wait a lifetime. And my name is Cray Chong. I'm the founder of Power by Rise, where we are the first company in Malaysia to try to provide a low-cost electric vehicle charging station for the community. And we have spent the last three years to develop our product. And a bit of introduction about myself. I born in Kuala Nerang rural, where my family is doing the electrical shop, where I've been doing the electrical since I was kids, assembly and doing all the lightning set. And out of 8 years of my startup, I have been collectively have the experience in the electrical engineering such as what I shown. And this is our team, where we are the team that consists of different expertise, from me, the electrical engineering, to coding, to assembly, to environmental consultant. And we are the company that trying to build the electric vehicle charging station, where we have the app that is already complete and available in the Play Store, and also the platform that the building owner can check on the revenues. And we have the different models of charging stations. And together with slow charging that is catered for electrical bike, and also fast charging for electrical car. And we can provide charging for all type of electric vehicle. And the problem of Malaysia right now is the ratio of electric vehicle compared to normal vehicle is very, very low. And we only have 0.01% of electrical bike on the road, and only 0.7% of electrical car on the road, where actually based on the National Automation Policy on 2011 to 2021, supposedly we should have 10% of the ratio for both of these, but we haven't achieved this. And the major reason for this, on the first one, is the lack of the electrical car is still too expensive to purchase, but thanks to the good government initiative, right now we already have a tax exemption for the electrical car, but we still lack of the charging station in our country. This is the question and the factor that defer the user to using the electric vehicle, and which I hope to solve. And the problem in Malaysia is that nobody will buy the electric vehicle if charging station is not available. And building owner won't install charging station if there's no electric vehicle to using it. And the investor is not interested to invest due to no demand. And the problem currently we're facing is that nobody really trying to build a low-cost electric vehicle charging station. And the goal we're trying to achieve is the Sustainable Development Goal 13. So this is a statistic to show that in ASEAN country, Malaysia is actually number 4th highest of the household motorcycle ownership in the world, which we consist of 83%, which means almost every household in Malaysia have motorcycle. And there's a high potential to convert to electrical bike. And based on the ASEAN statistic, Malaysia actually have a high intention to buy an EV as the next purchase. We are recording 37%. And based on the number you can see, in Malaysia, there is 13 million of motorcycle on the road. And there is 108 million in Indonesia and 6 million in Philippines. And each of these countries is booming and in demand for electrical bike, but the lack of a good electric vehicle charging station. And this is our opportunity to grow and help them. And this is our journey so far, where we established our company at November 2019. After that, we have successfully awarded MTDC Sandbox grant, thanks to the government initiative. And we already installed our charging station in Iskandar Medini 6 in Johor. After that, we successfully organized an event for the Datuk Seri Ahmad Baba Mosti, and on last year, December. And on this year, we also have met with the former Chief Minister of Johor, Datuk Sri Hasni, and he loved our proposal. So we also signed a LOI with MyRevet, where MyRevet is the university from UTSM, where they are helping the technical to the industry player. So far, we already have awarded several achievements, including the Climate Launchpad #1 in national and NTIS grant. After that, we also awarded for the Solar Vest Innovation Challenge and also the Meranti Challenge at the Technology Park Malaysia, and the latest. And we want to emphasize again, we are the first in Malaysia to trying to build the electrical vehicle charging station complete with payment system and ready to export. The reason we keep on emphasize on payment system is because we believe that without proper payment system there, the building owner cannot receive the charging revenue. And if the building owner cannot properly receive the charging revenue, they won't have the intention to install more charging stations. So it needs to have a business model that everyone is acceptable, but in the same time, the price of charging revenue cannot be too high, the price of charging station cannot be too high, or else the investment return could not be achieved. And we also is the first that trying to build the carbon credit reward for every charging, because thanks to Dr. Renat Seal, which is a climate change advisor in the top global, he's helping us to shaping the structure to building the carbon credit reward. It will become a new carbon charging reward, which is like a charging credit, other than the blue carbon and the forestry carbon credit and the renewable energy carbon credit. And the support we need is the visionary partners to support us along the journey. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Cray. Distinguished judges, over to you for your question.
Yeah, thank you for that very interesting presentation. It ticks a couple of boxes, but I was wondering how cheap is your, it's a very basic question, how cheap is your charging station?
In order to ensure that I need to compare with my competitor, if there is not mine. So for my competitor, they are selling at 8,000 ringgit, and mine is only 2,600.
Follow-up question, and this is the rapid chargers and all that?
Yes.
Wow, all right, interesting, thank you.
Well, rapid charger is much expensive, of course, but in comparison to other rapid charger, we still the cheapest.
All right, thank you, thanks.
Thank you so much, Cray. Let's give Cray a round of applause. Next, we have from University Malaysia Kelantan, Dr. Noor Hafizo.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good afternoon. So today I would like to share with you the experience working with orang asli. Okay. So sedikit pengenalan kepada projek ini. Pernahkah anda datang ke Jeli? Terutamanya ke Sungai Rual, ke kawasan perkampungan orang asli? Okey. Kampung Sungai Rual terletak kira-kira 22 km daripada Jeli, bandar Jeli. So seramai 750 orang orang asli, penduduk orang asli di Kampung Sungai Rual, Jeli, Kelantan. So kita tengok di sini peratus kepada ketua isi rumah yang tergolong dalam miskin tegak adalah sebanyak 84%. Apakah maksud di sebalik peratusan ini? Ini bermakna orang asli di kawasan di Kampung Sungai Rual sangat tidak mempunyai pendapatan tetap. Okey. So nama saya Nur Hafizah Saidan. Saya adalah pensyarah di Universiti Malaysia Kelantan. Okey, so projek yang saya jalankan bersama dengan komuniti orang asli adalah berkaitan dengan perusahaan sosial cendawan tiram kelabu. Dan projek ini telah bermula pada tahun 2020 dan sehingga sekarang, dan sekarang adalah fasa yang kedua di mana kita telah memberikan knowledge transfer program kepada orang asli di Sungai Rual, terutamanya berkaitan dengan penjagaan bongkar cendawan dan juga penghasilan bongkar cendawan oleh peserta tersebut. Okay, sehingga sekarang kita mempunyai seramai lebih kurang 20 orang peserta yang terdiri daripada peserta yang datang tetap setiap hari dan juga peserta yang secara part-timer yang terdiri daripada belia-belia, remaja-remaja orang asli. Okey, falsafah ini sangat dekat, very significant dengan projek saya, iaitu kita tidak memberikan duit, kita tidak memberikan barang kepada mereka, tetapi kita memberikan satu platform untuk orang asli bergerak untuk mendapatkan pendapatan mereka sendiri. Okay. So platform yang dimasukkan adalah perusahaan cendawan tiram kelabu bersama dengan komuniti orang asli. So ini adalah perkampungan orang asli di mana terdapat 4 kampung, iaitu terdiri daripada Kampung Kalok, Kampung Seberang, Kampung Pentadbiran dan juga Kampung Manok. Okay. So ini adalah close up tapak projek cendawan tiram kelabu di Sungai Rual, iaitu jika dilihat di sini kita mempunyai 3 bilik hasil yang boleh memenuhkan sebanyak lebih kurang 40,000 bongkah cendawan dalam satu-satu masa. Okay. Dan ianya boleh menghasilkan sebanyak 4.5 tan jika semua 40,000 kita masukkan dalam satu masa. So, di sebalik terlalu banyak halangan dan rintangan, tapi kita boleh rumuskan 6 impak yang memberi impak terhadap komuniti orang asli dan juga seterusnya kepada komuniti setempat, termasuklah pelajar UMK. So impak yang pertama iaitu peningkatan bilangan peserta. Sangat-sangat sukar untuk mendapat kerjasama daripada orang asli di mana mereka seorang yang sangat pemalu. Okay? Jadi kita cuba untuk keluarkan daripada attitude mereka seorang yang pemalu dan menjadi seorang yang lebih agresif untuk melaksanakan menjana pendapatan. Okay. Seterusnya, impak yang kedua adalah peningkatan pendapatan mereka itu sendiri, di mana mereka datang dengan zero pendapatan, tiada pendapatan. Dan sekarang lebih kurang setiap sebulan mereka boleh mendapat pendapatan lebih kurang 400 ke 500. Ini hanya untuk add value to their income. Okay. Next, impak yang ketiga adalah perubahan bangunan sekolah lama yang ditukar menjadi hub cendawan tiram kelabu. Okay, jika dilihat di sini, bangunan ini sangat tidak dijaga oleh penduduk orang asli. Okay, dan kita masuk pada tahun 2020 dan kita telah convert bangunan ini menjadi hub cendawan tiram. Impak yang keempat, so peningkatan kemahiran dan ilmu yang sangat signifikan terhadap projek ini, di mana seramai 20 orang peserta yang kita telah asuh mereka, didik mereka untuk menghasilkan bongkah cendawan mereka sendiri. So sekarang jika kita nak diorang memproses bongkah cendawan mereka sendiri, mereka dah boleh melaksanakannya. So kalau dalam tempoh seminggu diorang boleh menghasilkan 4,000 bongkah, dan 4,000 bongkah kita akan bayar per day. So impak keempat juga adalah peningkatan kemahiran kepada belia wanis. Ini adalah kaum ibu yang datang untuk bekerja di bawah projek cendawan tiram ini. Mereka datang tanpa ada ilmu berkaitan dengan mesin yang perlu digunakan, dan sekarang mereka lebih confident menggunakan mesin untuk menghasilkan bongkah cendawan. Okey, impak yang kelima adalah peningkatan pemasaran cendawan tiram kelabu itu sendiri, di mana projek ini kita mempunyai pelanggan tetap yang sentiasa setiap hari membeli produk kita. So, impak yang keenam adalah penubuhan syarikat pelajar UMK. Mereka adalah terdiri daripada golongan berpendapatan rendah. Okay. Ini adalah cabaran dan penyelesaian dalam projek yang sedang saya laksanakan, iaitu berkaitan dengan minat ataupun sukar untuk mendapatkan peserta. Okay. In future, jika kami diberi peluang untuk pembiayaan sebanyak 20,000 ini, kita akan mengembangkan lagi pengeluaran bongkah cendawan ke peringkat global, dan juga menambah baik sistem water system ataupun humidity system kepada sistem IoT, dan juga kami memerlukan investor ataupun stakeholder yang ingin bekerjasama dengan kami. 'Terima kasih. 'Terima kasih kepada Ketua Pengarah Universiti Malaysia, Dr. Dr. Muhammad Syarif, 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 Ketua Pengarah Universiti Malaysia, Dr. Dr. Muhammad Syarif,
Thank you, Dr. Noor. Judges, your question, please, for Dr. Noor.
Terima kasih. Can you hear me? Okay, yeah. Terima kasih, Profesor. Boleh saya tahu kenapa, apa sebab you select the cendawan tu saja? Adakah tidak boleh mereka use other farming products? Adakah ia sebab kawasan tu memang produce the mushrooms? Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, actually kita dah bagi a few project to them. Okay, termasuklah penternakan ikan, kambing, ayam. Tapi projek-projek tersebut tidaklah berjalan dengan baik. Kita investigate dan kita tahu bahawa kita dapat solusi mereka memerlukan projek jangka masa pendek. Iaitu let's say untuk cendawan kita beli bongkah yang telah matang. Untuk fasa pertama kita beli bongkah yang telah matang dan hanya mereka menjaga sahaja. So dalam tempoh seminggu mereka telah mendapat hasilnya. So short term project. So for the long term project tu it's quite difficult for them to handle. Dan mereka ni kita kena cakap satu persatu supaya mereka faham. We have to nurture them. Didik mereka dengan baiklah dan sabar.
Terima kasih, Dr. Noor Hafizul from UMK. The fifth presenter today is Seo Chunjia from Life Origin.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Life Origin. It's a biotech company that converts waste into protein, biofuel, and organic fertilizers using black soldier fly larvae. It is a fact that the way that we farm for is unsustainable. Global food producers are actively looking for alternative protein. Global food producers are actively looking for alternative protein to sustain the growth of our poultry and fish farming industry. At the same time, the global trend is moving towards reducing reliance on fossil fuel so that we achieve carbon neutral or we reduce carbon emission to fight against climate change. After starting the business in the insect industry, it brings me to face the fact that all these global issues need to rethink in a global context and to solve it within our own reach. This is a typical black soldier fly farming progress. By harnessing the power of the insects, Life Origin produce insect protein, oil, and organic fertilizers from the larvae. In Life Origin, we have been very selective on choosing the ways to feed to the larvae so that we ensure the nutrients output is stable and all our products are achieving standards. Within 3 years of farming experience, we have consistently collecting data and improving our process to make sure that our production is scalable and also achieving the standards that's been needed for the market. Putting the black soldier fly in a global context, black soldier fly has been creating enormous, huge positive impact to the environment. With its less use of land, water, and also produces less greenhouse gas emission comparing to all the proteins that we are consuming right now. At the same time, they are producing 10 times more oil compared to palm oil with the same use of land. Switching the lens to Life Origin in year 2021, we have converted 5 tons of waste into 100 kgs of insect protein, 80 kgs of insect oil, and 500 kgs of organic fertilizers within the space of 500 square feet. So the insect protein products and the organic fertilizers are being sold on e-commerce platform, and we noticed that we need to solve a problem before we scale our production, which is the insect oil, we have a surplus of oil because of its low application. So Life Origin started the biodiesel project, and we have successfully turned the insect oil into a B100 biodiesel. And we achieved that the standard is European standard, and which is easy to market soon. So biodiesel is a cleaner burning material, and it has been proven to have a wider application usage on logistic vehicles, vessels, and also electric generators. And it has proven also to reduce 70% lesser greenhouse gas emission compared to the diesel that we are using right now. So Malaysia, we produce most of our biodiesel using palm oil, but we face challenges on implementing it because of its fluctuation pricing of the crude palm oil prices. So why black soldier fly larvae oil biodiesel? Number one, they are actually out of our food supply chain, which means that they are not going to be affected by the fluctuating pricing. And at the same time, they have an advantage on the speed production, where the larvae have a better advantage on converting the waste to oil faster comparing to the photosynthesis of the plant. Third, they are lower cost option, and also with an advantage on its purity and also stability. So Malaysia, we export 30% of our biodiesel, and we see that there's an opportunity to have increase of demand on the industrial usage due to the ESG compliance. So in 2023, we have targeted to research, design, and build a biodiesel reactor pilot together with Samir University and also UPM, where we already have an LOI with them. Never forget the protein that we have producing right now. So with the fund that we will be receiving, we will be continuously to do product enhancement on the pet products that we have, to develop pet kibbles for dogs, and also to increase the sales distribution channel of our products to the pet market around Malaysia. So comparing to all the black soldier flies farmers, manufacturers around Malaysia, unlike them, Life Origin actually positioned ourselves as a waste to an end product integrated solution provider that produce end product that targeting the pet market. So we are looking to have a stable growth on ingredients revenue when we are having our automation pilot plant and also commercial scale planning in the future. So right now we are targeting to set up our automation plant to produce 5 to 10 tons of larvae per month. And also we are looking forward for the biodiesel plant that is going to happen next. Our target is to have a commercial factory that can produce 50 to 100 tons of larvae per month so that we can reach the poultry and the aquaculture market. These are our stakeholders where we collected our waste from, and also the universities that we are collaborating on the research and development program. We are proud to receive funding from local and also investments from Singapore. The team is me, myself, and Julius. He's a master graduate on black soldier fly breeding from Iowa. So we strongly believe that the insect is going to change what we are going to have later on in the next 10 years, providing better sustainable ingredients and also giving a better future for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chun Jia. Judges, over to you, please, for your question.
Chun Jia, thank you. That was very interesting. I was wondering, now since poultry feed is a big issue, are you thinking of diversifying to create poultry feed from your black soldier fly, the larvae or the frost?
Yes, that's the plan. Yes, that's the plan for us to work into poultry feed, but without the automation and the scalability, we are not looking to that at this moment, but we will definitely to work on that.
Thank you so much, Chun Jia. Ladies and gentlemen, After hearing from our first 5 finalists, I'm sure some of you are keen to know a bit more about their various solutions and how to get in touch with them and potentially work together with them. Please scan the QR code that's displayed on the screens to complete a simple form that can connect you with the finalists of your interest. We will now take a short 10-minute break before we hear from the next batch of presenters. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Before we resume, may I direct your attention for a moment to the screens, where we would like to invite you to join two opportunities. The first is to join the UN SDSN as a member of this 1,600-strong global network of knowledge-driven institutions with the common aspiration of enabling sustainable development. And the second, to participate in the SDSN Youth Global Innovation and Impact Awards. You will find the QR codes on the screens right now. And now, back to the next group of presenters. Please welcome Joshua Lim from BBAG.
Thank you so much, Karen, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Tan Sri, Dato, Puan, Tuan, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow finalists. It is an absolute honor to be able to present BBAG to all of you here today. My name is Joshua, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of BBAG. And today, I'm here to present to you the smart reusable bag that will change the way we shop forever. Our journey began 2 years ago when my twin brother and I worked together on an assignment to figure out a solution to the growing plastic bag problem. We wanted to work on it because we knew that, frankly, our planet can't take it anymore. Microplastics have already made its way into our body, our blood, lungs, and even brain. And if this continues, I believe that in 10 years' time, it would be a miracle to not find any plastic in the food we eat and the water we drink. And that is why, for the sake of our future generation, we were determined to figure out a solution. So, right in the very beginning, when we first started looking for ideas, we thought plastic alternatives like biopolymer bags and paper bags were the best solution. However, when we looked at the total environmental impact, we were shocked to see that they are actually not any better, as they're adding more greenhouse gases and chemicals to our environment. As such, plastic alternatives are not really the way forward. And the only way left to truly solve the plastic bag problem once and for all is if we all use reusable bags. And they're actually the perfect solution because they are durable and it's possible to reuse them hundreds and thousands of times. But currently, there is a huge problem with it. Despite having regulations trying to reduce plastic bag usage for more than a decade, today, more than 80% of shoppers still don't use a reusable bag when they go shopping. And this is simply because there is not enough incentive to motivate them to use it. And that is why most of us either forget about it or don't even think about using them. That is why, for us to truly solve the plastic bag problem for good, we need a solution that will make reusing a bag rewarding and fun so that more shoppers are motivated to reuse their bags every single day. And ladies and gentlemen, this is how BBAG was born. By integrating modern technology into the traditional reusable bags, we were able to create smart reusable bags that offer a gamified experience to reward shoppers when they reuse. And this is how it works. Every BBAG is a smart reusable bag with an integrated NFC chip that connects with the BBAG app. And BBAG users can easily earn rewards by simply reusing their BBags while they shop at partnering stores. For BBAG users, this gamified experience makes it fun, rewarding, and addictive to reuse their bags. And for our partnering stores, they're able to reach new customers and improve customer relationship through our platform. And most importantly, with our technology, we are able to provide data that was never possible to extract. Our business model is simple. Our revenue comes from the sale of products, and a portion comes from our services, such as advertisement. And currently, any retail business can come on board as a partner for absolutely free. And all we ask in return is for them to provide a reward so that BBAG users can be rewarded for doing good. And all of this is only possible because we have a team of full-time committed co-founders, talented engineers who work day and night to ensure a better future for our next generation. And now, a little bit more about our project. The purpose of our project is to utilize gamification and incentives to motivate more shoppers to reuse their bags. And currently, it's being rolled out in Klang Valley in 7 different locations. And in just the past 1 month alone, we were able to successfully onboard more than 11 partnering stores. And in just 1 week since our pilot launch, we were able to onboard more than 150 users and reduced more than 200 plastic bags. Today, we live in a modern generation, and it's time we tackle this good old problem using a modern approach. Currently, we're only in Malaysia, but plastic pollution is a global threat, and that is why we aim to expand our solution to neighboring countries and plant the seeds of sustainable shopping across the world. And B-Bag aims to spearhead this movement and become the leader in gamifying reusables. And for us to fulfill our mission as soon as possible and make a positive impact, we need your help. Firstly, having the opportunity to work with retail chains across Malaysia will be extremely beneficial, as this will allow us to set foot across Malaysia and make a positive impact in an instant. Also, having official support from the government will be extremely beneficial as well, as this will allow us to better acquire partners and easily acquire more users. Fighting plastic pollution is going to be tough, and the only way for us to win this battle is if we join hands and fight this together. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all from me. Thank you so much for listening, and let's save our home one bag at a time.
Thank you, Joshua. Esteemed judges, you can now pose your question to Joshua.
If I may, thank you, Joshua. Very interesting. If I may just try to understand, what's the value proposition for the consumer? How much do they have to pay compared to what they are doing now by using the jute bags and so on? Thank you.
Okay, so that's a very good question. So 10 times, you multiply by 20 cents, you get 3 ringgit. So it's the equivalent.
Thank you very much, Joshua. Please give him a round of applause. And next, we would like to please welcome Dr. Sai Chong Ye from Ever AI Technologies.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Sai from Ever AI Technologies, and today I'm excited to share with you about our flood forecasting system with artificial intelligence. 6.1 billion ringgit. This is the total amount of economic losses that we have suffered in Malaysia due to the flood in 2021. More than 60,000 people have to evacuate their home, some of them stranded, and has to be rescued by boat after 3 days of no food and electricity. 54 people have lost their life due to the flood event, in an historical highest number of casualties due to a single flood event in Malaysia. 33% of the economic losses actually comes from public assets, and the next highest one are the houses and also private vehicles, which are mostly not insured against flood. The worst hit areas are in Klang Valley and also Pahang. Particularly right here in Selangor, we have recorded the highest economic loss due to flood in 2021. So why are these still happening? We have been dealing with the floods for many decades, and even just 2 days ago, we have a flood in KL again. The first reason is that there is no real-time prediction that can accurately pinpoint and tell us where and when the flood is going to happen. Right now, we have something called a flood risk map, where the experts can draw lines like where is the areas that are most prone to flood. It tells us where, but it doesn't tell us when the flood is going to happen, especially not in advance. It's right after it happens, and then we try to act and respond, and it's always too late. We have a delayed evacuation plan. Last time when it happens in Seri Muda, it takes 2 or 3 days for the help to reach where that is needed. We propose to you our solution using Ever AI that we can do flood forecasting by gathering the data. How it works is that we will work with the Meteorological Department of Malaysia. We are actually in talk with the Meteorological Department. We will gather all this weather data, and then we will combine this data with the topography data, which measure the maps, our altitude, and the size, shape, and size of the location. And with all this data, we are able to train an AI model that can make accurate prediction and pinpoint exactly where and when the flood is going to happen. Our solution also includes an application where the users can view where are the potential flood risks and when it's predicted to be happen. And if they are stranded in a location, and they can also use our app to call for help and sending out their GPS location so that the rescue boat or the vehicles can reach them in time of need. These applications are actually pretty common in countries like Japan. Unfortunately, I see like there is no such application in Malaysia. Our solution is unique in the sense that we can give real-time and accurate prediction of the occurrence of flood event way before it happens. Using the data that we have collected, we can also forecast the possibility of flood event and the severity of the flood event in the future. What we did is by collecting all this data of historical flood event and also the topography data, we can do data analytics and business intelligence on this. Will give us insights that are invaluable to the local state government and also the insurance companies, for example. The benefits of the solution is that we are able to mitigate the damages caused by the flood and give out early warning to the residents. Of course, flood is a natural disaster, and some say it's an act of God that we can never fully eliminate it from happening. But what we can do is that we can give out early warning and mitigate the damages to buy time for the local authorities, the governments to implement long-term solutions that permanently mitigate the damages of flood event. For example, by landscaping, or identify the areas with overdevelopment, and introducing nature-based solutions such as reforestation to permanently solve the flood problems. This solution can potentially save lives by giving out well-informed decisions to evacuate the public in early sign. Some risks that we have identified with the solution is that there is always a lack of public awareness. People are just not prepared to it. Well, which is why we have a very slow response to evacuate when the flood actually happens. Yeah, people are just not prepared to it, and when it happens, it's only when they know that they are at risk, and they could have mitigated the risk way earlier then. And the last thing is that we also need high-quality data to actually train an accurate AI model that can give out very accurate prediction. In order to overcome the risks and the challenges, we will use our own Ever AI platform. Ever AI is a no-code AI platform where everybody can build their own AI without writing a single line of code. With this platform, we are able to collect and label data, high-quality data, and train an accurate AI model to make prediction to solve any problem, including the flood forecasting. Our call to action strategy, we are looking to raise 20,000 so that this money can be spent in R&D, in building the application, and reaching out to more people so that more people can benefit from the solution. With the goal to make AI more accessible than ever before, we in Ever AI Technologies, we believe that the power of AI should not be limited to serve and benefit a small number of people, but instead it should be inclusive and benefit as many people as possible. To do that, we will continue to build products and services that cater to more people, no matter who they are or where they are. And we have only one planet to do that, so let's take care of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sai. Judges, over to you, please, for your question.
Hi, thank you very much. Very interesting solution. Apart from that, beyond 20,000, what else do you need in order to, maintain your system? Because, you obviously need to keep on updating your data. And how are you planning to do that? Yeah, thanks.
Oh yeah, to deploy AI solution is not something that you build one time and you're done, like you just deploy and no. To continuously improve the AI, when you have more data coming in, you have to retrain the model. And how we do that is by using our own Ever AI platform. We can always gather more data, do the labeling, and check that there are quite high quality data, and then we can retrain the model, retrain and deploy, so that the solution can improve from time to time. Yeah.
Your proprietary, data, right? You're saying you're going to work with meteorological services, but you need more than that. You need topography data. You need all kinds of data. How sure you can get this data? Because some of it are highly confidential.
We are in talk with the meteorological department to get the weather data. I think weather data are easy. The difficult one could maybe the topography data, but these are actually available in the Google Map where we can just get. Yeah, we only need the altitude of the locations and all. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sai. Okay. Let's give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And next up, we have Ms. Tan Pei Ching from Warming Up.
Hello everyone, I'm Pei Chin from Warming Up, a social enterprise based in Kuching, Sarawak. So today I'm going to present to you about a holistic approach on upcycling education outreach program for rural children in Sarawak. So it's basically an environmental education program for the children to do some educations like upcycling activities, workshops through the engagement book. And at the end of the programs, the children will get the chance to showcase their products throughout a series of mini carnivals. So the community is coming from Bengor Dam, Padawan in Kuching, Sarawak. It's actually a Bidayu communities. In the Bengor Dam, there are 3 villages, Kampong Sting, Kampong Nyego, and Muk Ayun. So they are actually isolated village, whereby when we want to arrive at the kampong, we need around 20 minutes of the boat ride. So all these kind of isolated village is actually plenty throughout Sarawak, even Malaysia and the world. So many people didn't aware that all these isolated village, they actually don't have the proper waste management, just like us in the city. So what they have is only the option of doing the open burnings or just throwing the waste to the jungles. So it's a very serious issues whereby it will affect the health of the community as well as the environments. So here we come to propose educational program presentations for the Bengor Dam's communities. So for this one, we'll focus more on the rural children's part. So currently, we're also working with the adult communities on their upcycling activities. So for children, we were having the engagement book for the upcycling activity. So in order to get the buy-in for the children to keep on practicing the segregations, what we do is like we will get the children together with the volunteers to make their own segregation bins using the recycled material, like the used canvas from the cities and also like some natural resources that they got as a frame of the segregation bins. So after that, they will do the segregation, routine segregation, and then upcycling activities. And finally, throughout the programs, they were having some mini carnivals to showcase their products. So this is the plastic academy concept behind. So there are simple one and also like using the machines. So for using the machine, we're having the plastic straddle and injector. So basically the concept is the plastic bottles, plastic bag, plastic container will go into the straddles, straight into pieces, and then go into the injector machines and to make into some usable product like coastals, keychain, etc. And for the simple one, your children can get the chance to do their own, like for their plastic bottle to make into some hydroponic simple set out, or even like some plastic bag into fabric bags, etc. So this is the target under this NSS funded 10K we were doing for SK Bengor 86 students, and to achieve around 80% of the segregation rate guided by the teachers and the volunteers involving learning together with the children. And at the end of the program, we aim to produce around 430 crafts for the children to have a showcase at the mini craft. So this is actually the financial sustainability for this mini project for the children. So they will have a revenue from this one to rolling out for their community funds and to go to the other kampong for the replications models. And also the platform, the carnival will become a platform for the children to meet the partners or the people that can actually influence the children in order to become the equal warrior in the futures. So for the expected growth, the Rural Children's Educational Program is actually part of the pillar. The big picture that we're currently working on with the adult community as well is also to create an integrated waste management system for the rural communities, which usually people were neglected. So in complemented with their ecotourism elements. Like for example, the highland, they have beautiful scenes and they have the ecotourism. But when the tourists go in, they bring plastic, all those things. So in order to encourage the community also to get the buy-in for this project, they actually can showcase to the tourists, like they have the upcycling process services to the tourists and they earn the income from there. So it's kind of like win-win situation for the communities to take care of their environments, to improve their economy values, and also protect the environments. So for the plastic waste is one of it, and other than that, also like paper, organic waste will be tackled as well. So for these rural children's programs, we targeted under some 96 schools under Sarawak governments, Sedidik Sarawak, so as expansions for this space. This is the last slide, which is the most important slide, I think, because it's the overall concept that we want to create an integrated, inclusive waste management for the rural areas. So as you can see from here, involve different kind of waste, like organic waste, we can use the black sugar flies, plastic waste combined with the used cooking oil through our plastic densifier machines can actually make into some brick, so for the village to do some small constructions. And the metal waste combined with the plastic waste can make into the sculptures for the kampong people to have the art element in it for showcase at the international forums, etc. And other than that, like glass waste, paper waste can make into some eco-tourism products. And textile waste is the most interesting part, whereby they can actually use for their sustainable farming to wrapping for their pineapples. So all this is actually ideas that and implementation that currently we're working at Berngodem and second phase at the Kampong Sapit. So hopefully we will enter into more communities in Sarawak, Malaysia, and the whole world. Thank you.
Thank you, Pei Ching. Esteemed judges, over to you, please, for your question.
Thank you for the presentation. I believe this is very much something that can be a very scalable proposals that you have presented. My question is in terms of who will be taking charge in managing and organizing all these activities once it is proven to be ready to be adopted on a larger scale. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. So initially, our team as a social enterprise, we will deliver the trainings. And usually how we leave the project sustainability for the kampong people is like, they will have a group of leaders which taking care of the project itself. So for the scalability part, the big picture that we want to do is for the rural waste management to complement with the ecotourism. So our part in the future will be doing the ecotourism part, whereby we bring in the international volunteers or even tourists to all this village, and then to bring in more economy for them. So it's kind of like a buy-in for the community. Yeah.
Thank you very much. All the way from Sarawak, ladies and gentlemen, that was Warming Up. And last but not least, please welcome Mr. Sultano Reza from Click and Care.
It was sometime in August 2020 when Mr. Abdul Alim, a migrant worker from Bangladesh, he wanted to go back home buying a ticket with 1,000 ringgit. But suddenly he came across Click and Care on Facebook, and he paid 30 ringgit to see an ENT specialist. He could speak in Bangla, and his problem was resolved. He stays back and sends money back home. Ladies and gentlemen, Click and Care is an online platform for migrants' healthcare. There are about 2.3 million documented migrant workers in Malaysia. There are also similar number of undocumented workers. The main problem with them is the language barrier. They cannot communicate their health issues to the doctors properly. On top, there are cost issues, which is higher for the foreigners. It's 40 times to 100 times higher for foreigners. And then, as I said, the undocumented population has no access to healthcare or seldom access to healthcare. So there is a need to help them. On top of, there is a time leave of absence and a lot of money which is hitting their pocket is a concern. So what we did, we developed a platform where we have brought the native doctors to help them with the language barrier. And they can talk to the doctor anytime, anywhere, irrespective of their legal status. And we are covering 7 sustainable development goals, starting with the main number 3, good health and well-being. And if you look at the telemedicine during the pandemic has saved a lot of carbon emission all over the world. So we can use it to reduce the carbon emission as well. Looking at the impact, we are currently looking at Southeast Asia and Middle East countries, where 32 million foreign workers are working. So it's a huge impact on the society. $1.3 billion US market. We are now focusing only Malaysia and currently working with Bangladeshi workers right now. So there is a market potential of 100 million with 6 million migrant workers here. So the customer journey, how they use it, is quite simple. But as you know, these people are illiterate. So what we are doing, we have a helpline where they can call and get them registered, and we demonstrate how to use this application. And once they say the problem, we choose the doctor for them, whether it is a GP or a specialist they have to see. And they make the payment through our payment options. As you know, these people are mostly unbanked, but thanks to the pandemic, but I don't invite pandemic to happen again, what we have done that we are educating them using the e-wallet services to pay our service fees. So after the payment, they can talk to our doctor, consult, and get their prescription on their mobile phone. And once that is done, they send the screenshot to us, and we send it to our partner pharmacy to deliver the medications to their doorsteps. So the complete ecosystem is there. On the business model, the sustainable, we have to be sustainable. So we are charging them for 10 ringgit for a GP service and 35 ringgit for a specialist service, which is affordable for them. And we also get some commission from the partner pharmacies, laboratories, and clinics. There are a lot of players, but I would like to call everyone as a change maker. And we are the only one now focusing on the foreign workers or language focus. So we want to actually create another platform where we can work together. And already during the pandemic, we have worked with other domain players as well. On the marketing side, I mean, it's a sort of creating awareness. This year, we're focusing on creating awareness. During the MCO, we could not go out. So now we will be going out because these people, they are sort of seeing is believing type of segment. So we have to demonstrate them how our application works. So we'll be more on focusing on with that. And as well, we have focus on partnerships, like partnering with Sunway. There are a lot of business units which we have synergies to grow further. For example, Sunway Construction, Sunway Security, Sunway Money, Sunway Medical, all this. And there are a lot of other partners which we can ride on, like Felda, Top Gloves, etc. On the impact validation, we have seen a quite impressive output from there in the market. There are a lot of good stories there. As I said, that we are currently working with Bangladeshi migrant workers, and we have 50 plus native doctors on our platform, and we have supported 1,200 patients out of 4,000 registered patients, and 5 migrant workers recently canceled their ticket or delayed their ticket because they're getting the service from us. So this is a positive impact, and we can grow further with the help of partnerships with different bodies. We have a great team. Myself, Sultanur Reza, I have 16 years of experience with ICT for development in Bangladesh, Myanmar, and now I'm working in Malaysia. So we are confident, and we have the right team to execute the project. So on the financial side and the impact, we are looking at covering the Southeast Asia first and then going to Middle East. So our target is very big, but we are starting with a very small leap. We need funds to execute this project and having an impact. So we are asking for a $250K US, where we would like to introduce IoT for telemedicine equipment installations, like taking the vitals into our platform so that the doctor can recognize what is the problem, diagnose the right issues of the patients. And also we have a marketing focus and awareness focus, and also have some local team to contribute to the society. So when I am giving my lecture or speech or pitch, this is the building we are sitting here, and this building was built with the sweat of many foreign workers. So it's the time to give them back. So let's put our hands together and think of them and give them something back. If you want to join us, please inform me. And you can contact me at this email address. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Mr. Sultanur. Esteemed judges, over to you for your question, please.
Sultanur, thank you for that. I think it's very interesting. But all I can get so far from your presentation is it just provides a local language. Because it needs diagnostics, right? So this person is remote. Probably a more simple intervention is some Google translating app, and that guy takes it to the pharmacist and he gets his medication. Rather than going through this process, translating app can do something quite good as well, I thought.
Thank you very much. I think this has been discussed in many forums, like the Google Translator. We have used it, and many of the time, the actual translation is not there. It's twisted. So that makes, especially in terms of health diagnosis, is very important. You are dealing with the security and other issues of the human being. So there, it has been said in USA and Europe that they have interpreter. And now we are saying that this interpreter can be the health worker itself, like the doctor itself, who understand the health language better than anybody else. Google doesn't understand the health language, especially for Bangla right now, or any other language. So we have to be very cautious about introducing technology in diagnosis. So that's why we're talking about IoT, where you get the vitals to diagnose your problem. And also some free diagnosis using AI, artificial intelligence, to give some comfort to the doctor before he arrives or she arrives for the consultation.
Oh, Mr. Sultanur, thank you so much. Very interesting, I must say. Sounds like a very commercial proposition. Very interesting. And if you're successful, the financial benefits can be tremendous. So how do you intend to apply the gains from this venture? Thank you.
Thank you very much. In fact, we would like to, if you can say the last words, what you wanted to.
Yeah, meaning that this sounds like a very commercial venture and potentially successful. If successful, you make a lot of money. How do you propose to utilize that money? Is it going to be for your commercial benefit or put back into the community?
Well, let me tell about myself a little bit. I am from Bangladesh. I am from a village where till 1990 there was no electricity. And I have given my efforts for the base of the pyramid people for a long time. And I think I had run a free Friday clinic in my own house with my alumni. So I feel that this money has to be given back to society for the improvement. There is, of course, the sustainability goal is their objective because we cannot sustain. We have team, we have to feed them because there will be programmers who will be doing the programming. So we also want to generate, job opportunities. For example, for Malaysian youths, they can be our agent or ambassadors to promote these activities. We can introduce this in a B40 also, right? And for other nationalities, we can expand the network. So all these will be, related to our earnings and when giving them back to society.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sultanur from Click and Care. Please give him a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard from all of our 9 finalists. And once again, please feel free to scan the QR code that's displayed on the screens if you wish to connect with any of them. And now I would like to give the opportunity for a final round of questions and answers from our panel of judges, as well as anyone in the audience. So for that, I would like to invite all the 9 finalists up to the stage, please. If anyone would like to ask a question to any one of the finalists, please raise your hand and our colleagues will be walking around the room with microphones. Sorry, if you have a question for any of the finalists, please walk up to the front to our colleague here on my right, who's holding a microphone. And to our panel of judges, if you have further questions for any of them, please feel free to ask them as well.
I would like to ask question to be back.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. The question is, how do you connect your project with the name B? Thank you.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
How you connect the project, your proposal, to the name B? How does B come into play? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. It's a very good question. So initially we chose B Bank because we wanted to have a name that is easy to pronounce, easy to remember. And then B and bank rhymes, so it's very easy to remember. And then the bee is actually one of the most important organisms in planet Earth. So it also accounts for a lot of positive meaning, teamwork, for the environment, honesty. And the color of bee, black and yellow, is also very striking. So if you want to make a bold move and really make a statement, we want to choose something that stands out. And that's why everything comes together, and we thought B Bank was a good name.
If I may, question for UMK, Puan. If I recall correctly, you had a target of about 450 ringgit per month in terms of income for the participants. How scalable is that? If you were to invest more are you able to actually double that or triple that per participant? And how do you deal with the marketing of the grey oysters? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. Actually, for the first question is dealing with the capacity of the production, right? Okay. Just now I mentioned that for 3 mushroom house, we can pull on together is around 40 Ks of the mushroom block. So per day, they can produce 500 to 1,000 of mushroom block. So in 12 days, they can produce around 7,000 of the mushroom block. So I'm really optimistic that they can produce within 3 months, they can produce 40 case block. So for the second question is about the
marketing.
How do you market the product? Okay, we have collaborate with farmer and also Jabatan Pertanian, and we have actually permintaan lebih tinggi dari pengeluaran right now at current situation. So that's why I'm really optimistic that we can market our product. For the fresh mushroom, we also produce downstream product like pekasam cendawan, and then crispy, and also patty, mushroom patty for the vegan. Thank you.
If I may, just very 2 quick questions to Life Origin. How do you plan to do your communication strategy for people to accept insect protein as future food? That's one. You know, insect protein as future. I know there are some places in the world that they're already starting to blend this in. Second is your waste. How do you ensure you get the right kind of waste so that you get an optimum output from your black soldier fly? Because as you know, in Malaysia, we hardly segregate our waste. So that's the other one. Thanks.
For the first questions on the, maybe I go for the second questions first. The waste that we are collecting is actually targeted on the industrial waste. So it's being very selective. We do not take tabletop waste. We do not take anything that is not segregated. So we take ingredient by ingredient. So the ingredients, we will be testing the ingredients to feed, and we know the output of the nutrients, and then we formulate it together with other ingredients that we have. So as for the human consumption part, yes, that was the end game that a lot of the insect industry is actually working on. We make sure our process is clean from starting when we collected the waste. So we make sure that it's fresh. If let's say we were getting the coconut from the hampas kelapa from the store, we make sure that it's fresh, and then we process it as early as possible, and then go on to the process on cleaning and also feeding later on. So we make sure from the front until the end, it's been sterilized and also heat treated. So yeah, so it is okay for human consumption, and it has been tested on some food projects.
Actually, just very quickly, I'm not questioning the sterility and the clean. You know, it's just the human perception of eating something of insect origin. How are you going to do your communication for people to be more palatable to this?
So the insect is not going to be consumed as the form it is. It's going to be in powder. So it's going to be developed into end products. So you don't relate it with insects. You see ice cream, you see butter, which is not going to be related to the form. So that's how we're going to do it.
I've got a question for Connect ED. With the recycled computers and etc., do you have plans for after-sales service like warranty, or if there's something wrong with it? You know, like sometimes people find that they they find it cheaper to buy new ones because of the warranty and after sales service. Can you explain if you have some sort of a strategy for that?
Sorry, it's a bit difficult to capture the question. And I got the question. Basically, you're asking that since we are offering refurbished devices, does it also come with warranty, right? Because the upside for purchasing new devices is that there's warranty. Is that the question? Yeah. So we do have a warranty structure in place. It is not a long period of 1 year or anything. Most of our devices that are refurbished, we work with a certified technician, and he provides a 3-month warranty for all the devices that are repaired and refurbished. On top of that, if any sort of technical difficulties or hardware difficulties arise throughout the year, we still can definitely, like, if it's small, the technician is quite flexible with us because he knows it's for social cost as well, so he doesn't charge a very high fee for that. But if it's something that requires a whole new component exchange, and we need to source for that component, then definitely some cost or a relative higher cost will be incurred on that front. Yeah, so long story short, we do have a warranty structure in place. Thank you.
I think we have one question from the floor. Mr. Anthony Tan from APPGM. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Karen. I don't have to introduce myself. This is to BBAG. I just wondering, have you approached, say for example, chain store pharmacies and also convenience stores, because they give out bags like nobody's business, like it's their business. But say for example, if I walk into a 7-Eleven, I personally don't accept a plastic bag. But if there's gamification going on, I'm quite sure I can convince my kids to start bringing the bag. Thank you.
First of all, thank you so much. It is our goal to be able to work with all the big chains, like what you mentioned, like 7-Eleven, all the chain store 99s, Jaya Grocer. This is the goal for us, because we believe by working with these people, we will be able to scale instantly and have an impact across Malaysia. So that is the goal, but it is quite hard for us to have a deal with them currently, since they want to see is our track record. So right now, we are partnering up with 11 stores, and we are planning to use this data that we collect, and also to show that our track record, how we are able to influence consumer behavior, and to use our current results to get the big boys on board. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from the floor? If not, thank you so much. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give our 9 finalists a round of applause once again. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a little surprise for everyone. Besides having our 4 esteemed judges here to decide on the best solution among the 9, we would like to invite everyone attending the National Solutions Forum, including those who are online, to please vote for your favorite solution. Please scan the QR code on the screen and cast your vote now, and the winner will receive an award by popular choice as well. We will leave that QR code on the screen for a minute. And meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, while the judges are tabulating their scores, I would like to invite Professor Khairuddin Arua from Sunway University to talk about a fascinating solution that is being developed at Sunway University using technology to capture, store, and utilize carbon. Professor Khairuddin, the floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer for giving me this opportunity. It's a unique opportunity, I think, for me to present to you some of the work that we do at Sunway University, and more precisely at the Center for Carbon Dioxide Capture and Utilization. The center was established in 2018, and currently we have Euro-Asia Network, as well as a project in collaboration with MIT. So I would like in this 15-20 minutes to give you some ideas, and also especially to show you how and why carbon dioxide capture and utilization is one of the solutions that can help us to achieve net zero. It's not the only solution, but it is one of the solutions, with others like transition to renewable energy, like green technologies, etc. Let's see why CO2 capture and utilization is important. Of course, the first problem come to mind is the climate change, is the global warming because of CO2, but not only that. In fact, by working on CO2 capture and utilization, we can address many sustainable development goals. For example, CO2, we know it's acid gas, it's very corrosive, and normally is always associated with natural gas. So its presence in natural gas can reduce the calorific value of natural gas. So it is mandatory to remove it, to facilitate transport, to avoid corrosion. And also in biogas, for example, its concentration can arrive to 20 to 30%, and we cannot use the biogas directly, so we need to remove CO2 to upgrade it to biomethane, etc. So not only we have climate action, but also renewable, affordable and clean energy, which is SDG 7. Furthermore, CO2 is also harmful to the environment, to the planet, but it has a commercial value. It has commercial value in terms of it can be used as it is for some processes, such as enhanced oil recovery, where it is injected in depleted wells to enhance the recovery of oil, or it can be used, for example, as in the super critical state as a solvent, a very benign solvent. So it has commercial value, and somehow it can be converted to chemicals, to fuels, etc. It's not easy, but it is possible. So we are addressing, by working on CO2 capture and utilization, we are addressing a number of sustainable development goals, and also we are also in line with our recently established Center for Planetary Health, the Sunway Center for Planetary Health, and one of their team is the tackling the climate emergency. So this is what I tell my young researcher or student. By working on CO2 capture and utilization, even if people do not believe in climate change or in CO2 effect on climate on Earth, we still have business, because we need to remove CO2 and utilize it for other purposes. Of course, the main, I think, impact the CO2 has is on the climate, and this is something that we have experienced the last few decades, where we can see there's a lot of disasters which are a result of climate change, and basically is a result of the increase in CO2 in the atmosphere. And one of the issues also is the rising of sea level, and we can see from here that during 10 years, between 2006 and 2016, the sea level has risen about 2.5 more than it rose the last century. And of course, the effect of climate change has an impact and impacts also the developing countries as shown in this slide. So the temperature of the Earth is rising, and this is the trend. Now we are almost 1 and a little bit more than 1, and you know that we want to limit to 1.5, where to reduce basically the impact of warming on the climate. But of course, 1.5 or so is not good, because we need basically to return to the natural concentration of CO2 on the atmosphere, and also to the natural climate. So there is scientific evidence of the cause of global warming. And here we have a very simple video, so we'll be showing now, which explains who is responsible for global warming and also for climate change.
What's causing global warming? It's not the sun, which hasn't changed much since 1850. It's not volcanoes, which cool the Earth for a year or two when they erupt. It's not aerosols. These tiny particles and gases in pollution reduce warming as they cause clouds to reflect more of the sun's energy back to space. It's not changes in land use. The conversion of dark forest to paler pasture, which reflects more of the sun's light, has had a modest cooling effect. Is it ozone pollution? Increases in the lower atmosphere from human activity warm things a bit. Yes, it's greenhouse gases. Rising concentrations of greenhouse gases as a result of human activity are by far the biggest cause. When we compare human factors and natural factors, it's clear who's responsible for global warming.
So it's very clear that greenhouse gases, they are the responsible, I think, for global warming. And if some people still deny this, I think they are in denial, basically. Which gas that it is the most responsible, of course, is CO2. CO2 is the major contributor, and it contributes more than 75% of the greenhouse gas effect. And in fact, as a molecule, it is not harmful. If you compare it to methane and nitrous oxide or other industrial gases, it is not harmful because it doesn't contribute a lot in terms of molecule to molecule. But because the emissions of CO2 is very, very high, so the overall effect is that CO2 is established now, and it is known that is the responsible for global warming. So we have to do something about its rise and its concentration in the atmosphere. This graph shows basically the composition of CO2 in the atmosphere for thousands of years. So you can see that yes, naturally the CO2 concentration in the atmosphere is cycle, the increase, decrease. But you can see that up to 1950, the value never exceeded 300 ppm. 300 ppm is 300 parts per million. So you have one molecule of CO2 in 1 million, that's 1 ppm. So 300 ppm is that you have 300 molecules of CO2 to 1 million molecule of air. And this is up to 1950. After 1950, with the development of the industry, on the human activities, and CO2 emission increased, as you can see, there's a peak and still not yet going down. And currently, the value of CO2 in the atmosphere is 410 ppm, and it is increasing. So we are not in the natural concentration of CO2 that the Earth have experienced the 1,000 years or maybe millions of years. So we are not in normal situation, and that's why we have this effect on climate change. So it is very, very important to reduce CO2 from the atmosphere, and also CO2, as I mentioned before, it has some utilization. It can be utilized directly for different purposes. It can be also converted chemically to other materials or other products that can benefit different sectors, energy, chemical, even in the construction, etc. So how to reduce the CO2 concentration in the air? So we have, of course, to reduce the emissions, but not enough. We need also to develop systems that can capture the CO2 and also utilize it. So even if we replace 100% of our energy to renewable energy, which I don't think will happen in the next decade or 2 decades, it will, we still continue to using fossil fuels. Oil and gas industry, they're still investing in exploration more than on renewable energy. I think it's a small fraction going for renewable energy or CCUS. But if we imagine one day we have all our energy is renewable, there is no emission of CO2 from energy, which is the major sector, but still we need CO2 capture and utilization and storage, what we call CCUS. Why? Because there are some industries, they emit CO2 not from the fuel or from combustion of fuel, but they emit from the process, like cement industry, for example. So to reduce their emission or to achieve zero emission in this industry, so we need to put systems that can capture the CO2 that it is not produced from fuel and maybe utilize it or store it. I'm not towards storage because when you store CO2, you are not getting any returns. It's very expensive, and then you capture it. The capture it needs money, needs cost, and you store it. The transport is a cost, the storage is a cost, so it is not really a long-term solution. The long-term solution, in my opinion, is that we have CO2 capture and utilize it. Utilize it as it is, like in the enhanced oil recovery, for example, or utilize it, transform it to useful fuels or chemicals. So that's very, very important. And many governments are starting worldwide to invest in CCUS, and especially in CO2 capture and utilization. And recently, end of the last year, the Danish government, for example, putting 2.2 billion euros to develop CCUS processes in the country. So it's an area that it is moving, and it is a future area. Because I can see that CO2 capture and utilization, of course, we are looking to save the Earth from the effect of climate change. But if you remember a few months ago, NASA, the mission on Mars, they were successful to capture CO2 from the atmosphere of Mars and convert it to oxygen. Of course, that process here on the Earth is not useful because oxygen is available. But in Earth and Mars, it is very, very expensive to get oxygen. So by working on CO2 capture and utilization, of course, we are saving life on Earth, but we can create also life on other planets in the future. So it is something that it will last, this area of research. So what are the advantages of CCUS? Basically is that it can retrofit to existing plants. So as I said, the transition now to renewable energy is still very, very slow. So we will have still plant working on fossil fuel, and that can produce CO2, emit CO2 for the next decades. You know, in India, for example, India decided to shift the date, I think, of the target to 2070. So we have another almost 40 years or 44 to develop technology that can help us to reduce the emission of CO2 from power plants by using the CO2. So that's one thing. And also, with CCUS, we can tackle emission in sectors that they don't have other choices. Sectors that emit CO2 from the process, not from fuel, like in cement or in the steel industry. So these sectors need to use CCUS. But one of the big advantages, in fact, of CCUS is that it's maybe the only technologies that have the potential to capture CO2 from air, what we call the DAC, direct air capture. And currently there are demonstration plants everywhere, and the latest one capturing over 4,000 tons of CO2 per year in Iceland, and it is stored. This is a storage again. And currently there's a 1 million ton CO2 per year capture capacity is being developed in the US, and it is estimated that the scale up to 85 million tons of CO2 per year in 2030 and 980 million tons per year by 2050. So there's a big potential there in terms of developing new technologies to capture CO2 from air. And this is the only technology that can do that, because as I said just now, even we replace all our energy by using renewable energy, we still have 400 ppm in the air, which is not normal. So we have to reduce that, and only with CCUS or capturing CO2 from the air that it is possible. But of course, the big challenge remains now, currently, is the cost. And in this graph, we give you an approximate on the cost of the different technologies for CO2 capture and utilize. Here, mostly on the storage from different sectors, and you can see in the air capture, it's still very, very expensive. But I'm not worried about that. Why I'm not worried about that? Because we have seen, and the history shows us, that every technology starts very, very expensive. And with time, the cost will reduce by developing more efficient processes, more innovation, more investment in research, etc. So in the next maybe 10 or 15 years, we can see emergence in new technologies that can reduce the cost of CO2 capture from the air. So how CO2 is captured? Basically, of course, there are different technologies, there are different processes, membrane processes, there are adsorption processes, but the main one, which we can say currently used, especially in oil and gas industry, is using aqueous solution of amines. These are basic, so they capture CO2, that is acid, to form components. One of them is the carbamate, the RR prime and CCCO minus. This is very important species when we capture CO2. So we remove from the air or from the gas to the solution, and at that state, it will be easier to convert it to some chemicals that I showed it. And these processes, normally, they are reversible processes where we need to regenerate the solvent to put it back in the column. And in practice, normally we'll have two columns, the absorption column, where we remove the CO2, the desorption column, which is operated at higher temperature, and all the problems associated with the CO2 capture in terms of cost, corrosion, etc., comes in the regeneration or of the solvent or desorption of the CO2. And now the new ideas are coming, and this is basically the project that we are working together with the MIT group, is to avoid the regeneration part. How we avoid it? We try to work on converting CO2 at the captured stage, which is the carbamate. So to make it easier to be reduced using a process that's called electrochemical conversion. The beauty of electrochemical conversion of this process is because we convert CO2 without regenerating the solvent. So by converting to CO, CO is a very important molecule. It's one of the components of the synthesis gas. You combine CO2 with green hydrogen, you can transform these two components to many intermediates, too many fuels. So it's very important. That's why we call it synthesis gas. It's a mixture of CO and hydrogen. So in this process, we try to convert CO2 to CO using electrochemical conversion. Electrochemical conversion is electricity, but if we take advantage of renewable energy, so the electricity will come from renewable energy, and of course the overall process will be integrating the capture with CO2, with renewable energy to come up with some processes that can be profitable, can bring money basically, which is something can be sustainable. So this project, I think we are embarking together with our friends from MIT, and our work, we're looking at working more on the conversion part. And one of the limitations in this process, because the carbamate, the limitation is 0.5 mole fraction. So we have demonstrated that it is possible to break that limitation, and we can go up to almost 100% carbamate, amine is converted to carbamate, and this is something that it is basically new and very innovative. There's other areas where we want to reduce the cost of the processes, is to look at renewable resources as a source of solvents or waste. So we can convert waste to agents that can capture CO2. And this is, we are working on it on our center by looking at products from glycerol. Now one of the finalists, they produce biodiesel. One of their byproducts is glycerol. Glycerol can be a source of a solvent for CO2 capture. By transforming glycerol to amine, like serinol, we call it serinol, or mix it with other amines. And we are also embarking in some work on plastic waste, converting plastic to activated carbon, that we can use it to capture CO2. And also plastic itself, the plastic waste, we can convert it to solvents for CO2 capture. So these are some novel ideas and innovation that can help, I think, to reduce the cost of the CO2 capture that will help, I think, in the future. And these are some of our work on serinol. It is a product from glycerol. And this is our focus area. We have a lot of collaboration because this area is a grand challenge. It's a grand challenge. It brings a lot of opportunities, but it needs a lot of partnership. One team, one person, one university cannot solve this issue on climate, and especially on reducing CO2. So that's why we have a lot of collaboration working with University of Malaya, with UNIMEP, UCSI, MIT, of course, University of Indonesia, collaboration with United Arab Emirates University, and we are, with the help of Sunway University, supporting us to establish this network, which is the Oro-Asia Carbon Dioxide Capture and Utilization Network, because we believe without collaboration, without partnership, and we are hoping to bring on board other stakeholders like industry, etc. Now we have only academicians, but academicians need also interaction with industry to also guide us, to support, and also to solve problems that are real life problems. These are some of our facilities. I hope I get the opportunity to welcome you to the center. It is focusing on CO2 research. And to conclude, of course, we need a diverse plan to tackle climate change, with CCUS being one of the main pillars. CCUS costs need to be reduced dramatically by focusing on innovative processes, integrating CO2 capture with its utilization, and capitalizing on renewable energy to reduce costs. So in the next 10 to 15 years, we shall experience a surge in innovative technology facilitating the deployment of CCUS at a large scale. And finally, in my opinion, achieving a carbon neutrality is possible. But of course, we need political and societal will to accelerate the transition. And the government, of course, need to create the favorable policy environment, facilitate the development and the deployment of the CCUS, increase investment in R&D innovation, and particularly in CCU technologies, is still very, very low compared, for example, investment for exploration for new sources of oil, etc. Development of CCUS business models to attract investment. All stakeholders, including the private sector, should play a role. And Sunway Group is showing that by setting the carbon pricing strategy. And I'm very happy because when I wrote the strategy, CCUS is not forgotten. It's not now the technology, but it is the future technology. And as I said, if we don't implement or you don't develop this technology, so the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere will never go down back to normal. So with this, I thank you very much. Selamat Hari Raya, Maaf Zahir Batin, to all Muslims. And I think there's time for a question, or? Yeah, it was a surprise to me. Initially, supposed to be no questions, so I was very happy. But there's question. Anyway, if there's any question, I'd be happy to answer now or during iftar. Any question? Okay, so you were nice with me. I'm hungry, very thirsty. So thank you very much, and thank you for organizer for this opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Professor Khairuddin, for giving us that lesson in chemical engineering for CO2 capture. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Jeffrey Sachs is the president of the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network. And although he could not be with us today, he wanted very much to be a part of this important event for SDSN Malaysia. And he had the opportunity to view the rehearsal recordings of all the 9 presentations. And we would like to share with you now a recorded message by Professor Sachs with his comments on the National Solutions Forum.
Hello, I'm Jeffrey Sachs. I'm really Now also to have the Jeffrey Sachs Center at Sunway University, a real institutional home and a personal home for me to be part of this country's remarkable development. I want to congratulate also the government leaders that are here for your guidance and promotion of sustainable development in Malaysia. Malaysia's making great breakthroughs and with many, many more to come in all of the crucial areas of sustainable development transformation. So today at the National Solutions Forum, we really can celebrate. We can celebrate the government leadership. We can celebrate the remarkable commitment of the Sunway Group. We can celebrate the action and commitment and ingenuity of civil society, NGOs, and many others. We can see the social inclusion that will help bring all of Malaysia together in the progress ahead. And for me, it's just a profound honor to be able to say thank you to all of you for the great leadership and to know that you have all of the support that the Jeffrey Sachs Center at Sunway University can offer, and in my role as president of the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network, I can't wait to champion your projects worldwide to say, look at the great things happening in Malaysia. Let's make sure they happen all over the world. Thank you so much for letting me join you today, and congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, it now gives me great pleasure to introduce a man that most of you know well. I am proud to call him my boss. Tan Sri Datuk Sri Dr. Jeffrey Chia, AO, is the founder and chairman of the Sunway Group, one of Southeast Asia's leading conglomerates, and the founder and trustee of the Jeffrey Chia Foundation, Malaysia's largest education-focused social enterprise. Through the foundation, Tan Sri has gifted $20 million to the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network to establish the Jeffrey Sachs Center on Sustainable Development at Sunway University and the Asia headquarters of the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network, also at Sunway University. Tan Sri is also the chair of SDSN Malaysia chapter. And he is also one of the 4 co-chairs driving Mission 4.7, a global initiative that aims to mandate governments worldwide to include a sustainability curriculum in all schools from kindergarten to high school levels. It is my honor to now invite Tan Sri Datuk Sri Dr. Jeffrey Chia to deliver his remarks.
Our esteemed panel of judges, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to all of you. Let me start by congratulating the 9 finalists who have presented competitive work here today. I understand that it was a difficult task for the shortlisting committee to select these 9 out of the 39 initiatives submitted by NGOs, startups, and researchers. Ladies and gentlemen, the National Solutions Forum, or the NSF, is our own Malaysian version of the Global Solutions Forum launched more than 2 years ago by the United Nations Sustainable Development Solution Network, or UN-SDSN. The Global Forum was established to ramp up efforts to implement the 17 Sustainable Goals, or SDGs, adopted by the United Nations in 2015. The NSF specifically looks to highlight local solutions to local problems. Our focus with this event is to shine a light on local change makers who are making a significant impact in their communities and the nation. The funding contribution from Sunway aims to help support them in scaling up their solutions. Just as important, we hope that this solution can inspire many others to follow suit in tackling issues related to the sustainability agenda. This goal is very much aligned with my own personal motto, and that is, I aspire to inspire before I expire. And ladies and gentlemen, Sunway Group, as well as our Jeffrey Chia Foundation, committed ourselves to the concept of sustainable development right from their founding. Both entities have embraced the 17 SDGs, which chart a holistic path to build a sustainable future for our ailing planet and its people. The recent report by the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change issued a blunt warning, and that the planet is at a tipping point. The UN Secretary General described the report as a code red for humanity. Clearly, implementing the sustainability agenda is no longer just an option, but an urgent imperative. We are all doing our part in this region. 6 years ago, Jeffrey Chia Foundation gifted $10 million to the UN SDSN. The funds were largely used to set up the Jeffrey Sachs Center on Sustainable Development here at Sunway University. The center is chaired by Professor Jeffrey Sachs, as you know, who is the SDG advocate and advisor to the present and the previous two the UN Secretary Generals. He is also, of course, Jeffrey Chia Distinguished Professor at Sunway University. And then last year, the foundation again pledged another $10 million to the UN SDSN to be dispersed over 5 years. A significant portion is being used to establish the Asia headquarters of the UN SDSN house at Sunway University. It is one of the only 3 such global centers in the world, overseeing continent-wide sustainability initiatives. This ranks Sunway City Kuala Lumpur alongside Paris, which oversees Africa and Europe, and New York City, which oversees the Americas. Sunway University also houses the SDG Academy, the education arm of the UN SDSN. The SDG Academy is playing a fundamental role in Mission 4.7, a global initiative to include a sustainability curriculum from kindergarten to high school levels. Our latest initiative here at Sunway is the Sunway Center for Planetary Health. We are convinced that the health of the planet and its people is connected with and dependent on each other. The new center will work closely with our existing institution at Sunway University to advance the sustainability agenda. And ladies and gentlemen, we really are living in a time of extreme uncertainty. Even as Malaysia and the world transition into the endemic phase, COVID-19 continues to greatly impact lives and livelihoods across the globe. And meanwhile, the rising levels of socio-economic inequality threaten to reverse decades of progress in this sector. And our planet is burning up, literally. Now, there is a growing risk of a nuclear war in Europe. In such time, it is tempting to just throw up our hands and shout, "I give up." But that would be taking the easy and irresponsible option. And I am a firm believer in the Chinese proverb that says, and I quote, "It is better to light a candle than curse the darkness." While acknowledging that some things are beyond our control, we must address those issues that are within our command. What we are doing at Sunway is based strongly on this very principle. It is why we support the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network. The key word in that title is solution. Just as in Sunway, we walk the talk. The UN SDSN is focused on action rather than just hot air. The NSF is just the beginning of the SDSN Malaysia's many initiatives with the support of Sunway. Thanks to all of you, we are working together in building a more progressive, inclusive, and sustainable future for all under the Malaysian sun. But even more than that, at Sunway City here, as the Asia headquarters of the UN SDSN, we are championing such solutions forums to be held elsewhere in the continent as well. And our efforts are driven by the conviction that realizing the 17 SDG is not the responsibility of governments alone. And building a sustainable future requires the commitment of all elements of society, the private sector, academia, the civil society, and of course, every single one of us. We are all in this together, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tan Sri Jeffrey, for those inspiring words. Could I please request that you remain on stage? As a show of our appreciation to our wonderful panel of judges this afternoon, who had the difficult task of deciding on the best among the 9 fascinating solutions, we would like to invite Tan Sri Jeffrey to present them with a book written by Professor Jeffrey Sachs. May I please invite Tan Sri Wahid Omar. Kindly remain on stage, Tan Sri Wahid. May I invite Datuk Dr. Zunika Mohamad. May I invite Dr. Nagulendran? And finally, Puan Rafiza Ghazali. May I also invite Ms. Pam Lee from BDO Malaysia, our independent scrutineer, to also come on stage to receive the book. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we will have the announcement of the best solution. Oh, can I please ask you to remain on stage for the announcement of the best solution, please? But first, I would like to announce the People's Choice Best Solution, which I have in this envelope. And the People's Choice Best Solution goes to warming up. And now, the best solution. In Miss Pam Lee's hand is the envelope containing the name of the best judged solution. May I have the envelope, please? And the top solution is powered by Rise. Now, may I invite all the finalists up on stage for a group photograph. Thank you so much, and congratulations to all 9 presenters, and our thanks to our esteemed panel of judges. Thank you all so much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our proceedings today. We hope the event was beneficial for you, and I would like to invite all of you to the breaking of fast or buka puasa to conclude our event. My Sunway colleagues will be on hand to usher you to your seats. And may I also inform you that the surau is located on level 10, and our colleagues from the Sunway Resort will be there to guide you. On behalf of SDSN Malaysia and the Sunway Group, I thank you all for your generous time and kind presence here this afternoon. Please enjoy your meal prepared by the team at the Sunway Resort. Selamat berbuka puasa and have a lovely evening.
Ada azan.